So great to see you again. It's been a
Likewise.
it's been a it's yeah it's been well, there's been a whole pandemic and shit since the last time.
Last Underworld show we did was 2019, so it has
Yeah,
been
yeah, it was just before the
go
world turned to shit.
four
Yeah,
and a half years probably.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's good to see you again, man.
Likewise.
And like I said, last interview of the week. Jesus, this is like crack a beer or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what's happening after we finish this interview.
Oh,
Uh,
right.
my
This is
wife, my my wife and I are going to meet some friends for happy hour. She just got home from a work assignment, a 4 month assignment in Hawaii. I just got home from South America, and so we're just going to see some friends we hadn't seen in a while.
Oh man, that's awesome. It's also awesome having a wife that hits the road. It's not always you.
Yeah,
It's not always you leaving.
exactly. Yeah. We you have to be wired for this lifestyle. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, I've got to do some of the usual bullshit, because it's record company will kill me if I don't. Um, might sound like a strange question. One of my early influences on singing, maybe because I'm reasonably short. I like to say diminutive, but it's short. Was Ronnie James Dio. Um,
Amen.
he was a big influence on me. And upon listening to your new album, I realized what an influence he'd been on you as well.
Without question, Dio is one of the best. And what to me is the most amazing thing about Dio is, aside from obvious uh, little man, big voice, but the persona, the skill set, he really doesn't use falsetto much at all. He's just almost full voice the whole way, and that
Yeah.
to me is amazing. He's I have a Black Sabbath tribute act that I do with some people, but we only do the Dio years, and it is one of the most challenging jobs I've ever had.
And I bet it's one of the most fun things to do as well.
Oh, there's not a lot of greater ways to make money than that.
Yeah, no, maybe you're like me, right? I mean, as much as I love like doing my own thing, I'm singing my lyrics, it's something I've created, it's come from me. Um, there's some kind of next level joy about singing other people's stuff,
Yes,
singing your heroes' stuff.
this is true, and this actually couldn't apply any better than my experience playing in Trouble because uh, as much as I love writing and recording songs as a member of Trouble, I want to sing the old songs, the ones I grew up on.
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to sing Eric's songs.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get it. I absolutely get it. Yeah, I remember speaking to Eric Forrest. Fucking hell, there's a name from the past. Eric Forrest from Voivod, when he was fronting and playing bass in Voivod. And he was exactly the same. He was like, yeah, I was like, oh, the new album's really cool, man. You've done a great job. He was like, yeah, but I just want to play the fucking old stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
It's like I'm just a fan. And I absolutely, I absolutely get that. But it was I think it was listening to Defectum Omnium, the Stolen Hope on the new album. That was when I was like, I can hear some Dio. I can hear some
Yeah.
dude. And there's another track later on as well where I was just like, I don't think I've ever heard that in your voice before. And by the way, you've done it. Well done. Congratulations. You have
Thank
done
you.
you have done what every single musician wants to do, and that is put out something that is better than the last thing they put out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I honestly do. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I really, really do. And that's not to say that that was a low bar. It was a high bar with the comeback. But I genuinely feel that this is like, yeah, far and away an improvement.
To me, there's unless you're just excuse me, unless you're just trying to fulfill a contractual obligation just to get it done and over with. I don't see a point in going through that. As you well know, the the rigorous process of
Yeah.
making an album from starting from zero, silence, and
Hmm.
making a 55-minute album is it's a monumental chore, and I, you might
Look,
as well have fun along the
yeah,
way and have it mean something. And that was something that the three of us, Sasha, Jason, and myself, when we decided, let's write this together, let's produce it together, let's do all of this together. We were very meticulous in crafting the songs, cherry picking the best of it, kicking what didn't stick to the wall out, and
yeah.
making the songs better. Serving the songs to me
Oh,
is this.
yeah, yeah. That's my favorite phrase. That is my favorite phrase. Serving the song. The most important person in the room is the song. It's not you. It's not me. It's the song. And is that your favorite bit? Yeah, but it doesn't work. Sorry, gotta go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to uh in a mature setting, grown-ups who are crafting art and music together will listen to each other and say, "Hey man, why don't you try this?" Or "I don't think that's working. I've got an idea that might work a little better." And
Yeah.
everyone listens and in a democratic fashion says, "Yes, this vote, we vote for this to be changed to this." But if one person's like, I really feel strongly about it, and the other guys or girls, whoever it might be, say, okay, we'll give you that. This is something you brought to the table. You must feel strongly about it for a reason. So as long as everybody's communicating and listening
Yeah.
and not losing sight of the priority, which is serving the song, is I'm glad to hear that you feel the same way about that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you use some very key phrases there where it's like, well, it, if you like, at this point, I hear this as opposed to what is there at the moment. I'm in the process of writing a new album at the moment, and I was sat with our guitarist last week, and we had the best kind of exchange that you have when you're writing material. He was saying that he could hear vocals over this part, and I was saying that I could hear a guitar solo over this part. So he's wanting me on it, and I'm wanting him on it.
That's good though. That's selfless songwriting, if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, but what you were saying about well, actually, I can hear this. That's that is the way for me to break it down. It's never, I don't like that bit. Well, like, that's really great, wonderful. Like, that's not good enough. That's not a criticism. That's not a critique. That's what people who buy the record are allowed to say. Okay. But
Sure. Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't just say, I don't like it, and that's it. No, you've got to offer a reason, or you've got to say, actually, I can hear this, and bring something to the table and say,
Without a
well,
doubt.
that's that. But otherwise, it's that constructive criticism thing. It's like you've got to bring something to it.
Yeah, I mean, this is uh easily the first time an Exhorder album was crafted where there weren't arguments and fighting. It's funny.
I can't imagine why that was.
It's a tough thing, getting a group of creative, strong-minded people in the same room to work together. Chemistry is everything, and
Yeah.
that's I have to say this was a very pleasant experience in the from start to finish making this album. It was something that everything that we dreamed this album could be came to be, and that's that's lightning in a bottle, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that what I noticed was there's well, for a start, you mentioned it earlier, it's a 55-minute album. It's like, right, okay, that's like proper album length. That's like, yeah, right. We're not just knocking 10 songs out and giving the record label something they can market as an album. This is a 55-minute journey. And it strikes me as an album. It's something that is meant to be listened to. The track listing is there for a reason. And, you know, you've got short songs, long songs, but you've also got all sorts of different paces, different feels. And, you know, I don't want to insult you by using the word mature, but it kind of feels like that there's on this album, it feels like there's nothing you're afraid of doing. You know, it's like, hey, why don't we, you know, why don't we catch a punk vibe for a bit? Yeah, cool. Okay. Why don't we do 7 minutes of like really fucking with tempos and just, you know, keeping it calm and finding a groove and finding a vibe and getting the most out of it. And I've only listened to the album twice. You know,
Oh wow.
I can't wait to listen to it again.
Oh, right on. Yeah, yeah. Well, that was one of the things we did not want to do was put the settings on autopilot and just chug, 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 song, 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 metronome, metronome, metronome.
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of boring. You know, we come from a generation where our heroes are Beatles, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Queen. You know, lots of uh, well thought out albums with a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of different sounding. You know, some of those albums had songs recorded in different sessions at different studios, and the ride does this instead of that autopilot. You know,
Yeah.
peaks and valleys, emotional sways. That was the mindset. This girl I'm friends with listened to it, and the first thing she said was, "It reminded me of a Led Zeppelin album," and I'm like, "Then it worked."
Yeah.
That was our goal to make it an experience and a journey, as you put it.
Yeah, yeah, and you're making me smile because it's like it's it's cool that those moments when you have an album and it's finished and no one else knows, no one's heard it, and you get to kind of cherry pick a few people to play it to whose opinions you really value, and for you, it's like that's that level of validation that is more important than a bunch of reviews
Yeah,
or
sure.
anything like that.
And by all means, if you don't like it, please step up and say why. I'm not
Yeah,
afraid of
yeah,
that. You know, I realize that there. I read the comments. I'm not afraid. It's just words, and they don't hurt. Uh, there's a handful of people here and there that are like, it's not like the first two. Well, of course it's not. We wrote that stuff when I was still a teenager. Most of it, you know, it's like, of course it's not going to be like that. But um, you know, a lot of people get very possessive over their favorite era of a band, and they expect it to remain that way, and they expect it to stay in that integrity of a lineup. And it's like, man, tell me about your worst job that you ever had. And if someone came up to you and told you that you had to work with those people the rest of your life, would you do it? No. Well, then why do you expect bands to forcibly stay together just because of your desire? You know, like it's going to
yeah,
evolve. You get ZZ Top and Rush once in a lifetime, and it just,
yeah,
you know, look at the common denominator there. You got three members, one,
yeah,
two, three, and you know, you start adding more people. It's harder. It's harder to keep things perfect and happy. I mean, for right now, we've got a four-piece going, and we are happy as can be, and we all get along. Will it last forever? The jury's still out, but you know,
yeah,
it's nice to have it, and I'd like to ride it as long as possible. It's not an easy thing to find. I've been in a million bands. It's very hard to find cohesion for the long haul. It really is.
yeah. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. We had a lineup change after kind of 7 years, and we had lineup change, and I was sat there and listening to all the guys going, "Oh, this is great, you know, everyone's friends now, and you know, oh, you know that guy's gone, and oh, it's all cool and all." And being the old cynic I am, I'm just sat there going, no, everything's not fine. It's now someone else's turn. It's now someone
Three,
else's turn to be the
two,
arsehole."
one.
Yeah, yeah, it's a different dynamic now. Someone else's
Yeah.
turn. That's all. You know, it's human nature.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It is. And Lord knows that the workload isn't easy. You know, having a a payout that you can rely on is almost impossible to guarantee. So there's so many intangibles. It's tough. So it takes a certain type of person to live the lifestyle and stick with it. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. And also I think, you know, from a fan perspective, um, I don't know, it used to really annoy me, but now I kind of get it. It's kind of like, yeah, I get it. You're so emotionally attached to those first few records, because ours are like from back in the 80s as well, you know. So you're so emotionally attached to that. That's like your childhood is in the grooves of that record. There's nothing
Yes.
we can ever do but disappoint you from it. Yeah,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
it's
you're right.
fucking downhill from here on.
Yep.
Just
So
like
so
life,
stay
funnily enough.
so stay home and listen to those records. I've got a concert to play.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Or come to the gig, you know, and just enjoy the old stuff. That's fine.
Yep.
But
Go get a
it,
beer during the new songs.
yeah, exactly. But it's like, you know, I always hear those people say, "Oh, thrash metal never died." I've been playing the, you know, the first four Metallica albums, first four Creator albums ever since, and it's like, yeah, great, wonderful. You're partly why it did die, mate. You know, because you're still fucking listening to that stuff. You're supposed to grow. You know, we're
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah.
supposed to move forward in life. But you know, it doesn't always happen. Simple as that. But I know
Yeah,
I well
the growth is good, and you know, what I've noticed is the audience is getting younger, and they're turning out in numbers, and to me, that says it all right there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And are you deep enough now to not ever get any questions about Pantera ever?
I mean, they still surface. It's something that I have definitely grown weary of talking about. But I can say this much: I'm friends with Phil. I've been friends with Phil most of my life. I'm friends with Rex. You know, Daryl and I got along fine, and yeah, you know, they were a band I respected immensely, and I never had a terrible time hanging out with them. Daryl induced vomiting on me at least 3 times in my life.
Right. Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. You got the stories.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's most of the. I'm not going to say all of that controversy was fan and media driven, but most of it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also, it's like a lifetime ago, isn't it, really? You know,
It
I
really
mean,
is, and hey, look, I'm as happy as anybody that Pantera's back and playing and succeeding because it's good for everyone.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, back and playing, um, I I'm gonna throw in a couple of subscriber questions actually, because these guys actually pay money, so you know they're the good guys.
Hey, how about that? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know. What a novel concept, hey? Help an artist out by paying for
Who
something they
knew?
do. Yeah, yeah. It's like this old secret from back in the 90s. Um,
Oh,
so Kieran Colin Bounds says, does Kyle have any plans for more UK shows, or is that something that is out of his hands?
uh, if I could snap a finger, I would make it happen a lot quicker than it has. Um, but the simple fact is, I think at this point, you just have to just throw in the towel and plan a UK exclusive tour instead of trying to go back and forth between UK and mainland, because I think the logistics are just so difficult now, having, you know, in a post Brexit world. So I am going to run that up the flagpole with my management and our booking agent that they're chomping at the bit for us to get back over there, and we're in a similar position.
Yeah.
I've always had a great time touring the UK. The shows are great. Let's get back over there. So, Kieran, we are going to get back at some point by hook or by crook, and I'll start squeaky wheeling that. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, good, good. And you know, if you want some tour mates, then just give us a shout because we'll
Yeah, yeah,
be
yeah.
all over that shit, mate. So Paul Hutchings. My only time seeing Exhorder was at Bloodstock 2018. It was a phenomenal show. It was also the band's first ever UK show. What are Kyle's memories of that night and the UK crowd?
Well, I remember that right before we went on stage, it started raining, so people uh, clamored to get
Yeah,
into the tent to
you were
get
in
out
the
of the
tent.
rain,
Yeah,
which worked to our advantage.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it was like instantly the crowd doubled, and I think it couldn't have been more perfect timing because we did have a good show and the crowd was lovely. So uh, I distinctly remember it being very balmy and humid, and I was nursing a hangover from the show before. But once you get on stage, that all kind of vanishes, and you just go back into adrenaline mode. So
Yeah.
uh, I recall that being one of the better ones.
Yeah, we actually there was I usually make Bloodstock every year, and a couple of years ago we had a heat wave, so it was in the 40s for Bloodstock. Yeah, main
Wow.
stage it was just like a dust bowl, and the biggest cheer of the whole weekend was during one band, one single cloud came across the sky and obscured the sun. Yeah, 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 yeah. The whole audience turned away from the band to backs to the band, and we're just looking into the sky and cheering this one cloud.
And there was much rejoicing.
Yeah, yeah. It's, anyone who says the Brits are obsessed with weather is completely fucking off their head. Yeah, yeah, it was. It was a total Monty Python scene. It really was. Yeah. Um, but that's again British weather. The rain drew, just drove people to Exhorder. That's what you want.
Amen.
Yeah, true. Well, I'm hopefully we'll be able to get back to the UK as soon as. But you did mention that you've been to South America. Um, did you
Yeah, we
have?
just did that.
Yeah, and did you have somebody playing guitar for you over there?
Valdemar Saricta came and joined us. He usually fills in for us when we go to Europe now until we can sort out the logistics on Pat's difficult travel situation.
Yeah,
But Valdemar's been great. Valdemar has stepped up and helped us out like a brother, and um, he's played South America quite a bit. So there were a lot of people there that knew him already. So it was perfect. It couldn't have been a better scenario for us. So we did. It was supposed to be 11 shows, but there were some fires in Valparaiso, uh, Chile, and uh, caused a lot of destruction and some death. And
shit.
as a result, the local government shut down all events, concerts, and stuff. So
Yeah.
that turned into an off day that we didn't anticipate, but it was actually good timing because we were exhausted. From January 30th until February 4th, when I returned home, there were only 2 days that we didn't spend in the airport and in airplanes. It was crazy because
Oh man.
South America is so big that you
Yeah.
can't drive anywhere. So, like, literally every show we had to fly in, fly out.
Yeah, and also you don't want to drive anywhere because you're going to get held up.
Oh, well, that sounds like a whole problem that I don't need in my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you've done better than us. Our South American tour was cancelled before we left. So, you know,
Oh, no.
yeah, it was one of those, man. It's always like there's always a comment, isn't there? Come to Chile, and you're like, it's not that fucking easy, dude. It really
Yeah,
isn't.
exactly. It is an
So,
ordeal.
yeah, and the funny thing is, everybody's warned us. We haven't been there before, and everybody's warned us, saying like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's unique, and yeah, of course, it didn't even happen. That was pretty unique. I think it was one of those kind of things where it was like they liked the idea of us touring over there, but actually finding the money to pay to get us to tour over there, that was the problem.
Yeah, I mean that's a difficult thing. You know, we were in a fortunate situation where we had um, a, a reputable promoter who had been working, I think, with Exciter before. And Exciter highly recommended him to us.
Ah, that's
Big
a good
thumbs
one.
up. So we went with him, and we couldn't have been happier with how he did everything. He was great.
I need to get those details off you, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely, definitely. Now, leaping back to the beginning of our conversation, tell me more about the Dio, the Sabbath band, because I am A, fucking jealous,
Yeah.
and B, fucking jealous.
Yeah, it's something that my friend Miguel here, he and his brother are like stalwarts of the greater New Orleans music scene. And he approached me about doing it, and I said, "Yeah, man, I'm in." And so we got the drummer we got is a guy named Danny King that used to play with uh, heavy metal glam metal band Lillian Axe back in the day. They were from here,
Oh, there is a
and
name from back in the day.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and Danny Danny's an old friend, and so we started all working together, and we just started bashing it out in the room, and as soon as we started playing, we just started getting a lot of requests for additional booking, and here we are. We've been doing it for about close to 3 years now, maybe, I think. And and the same band, we're actually going to be joined by Sammy Douay from Goat Whore and Acid Bath, and we're going to do a Judas Priest tribute with the same lineup, with adding Sammy,
Oh
and
man.
and also with some of these guys. I have a new wave tribute act, and we do like '80s, late '70s, early '80s new wave.
Oh, dude,
Yeah, man.
you are like Mr. Versatile vocalist. This is like that's a whole range right there.
Yeah, it's a different world, and I actually enjoy that one because thank God I finally don't have to play heavy metal, and, which
Yeah,
I love, of course. But I'm a music fan before I'm a metalhead or a punk or anything.
yeah.
And not to mention, I went to Catholic school, and there I was in. It was part of my curriculum, not extracurricular activities. I was in the chorus in high school, so for 2 years in high school and 1 year at university, I sang uh, as part of my grade. I sang in the chorus, and it's where I learned how to do a lot of stuff, all my fundamentals and everything. And my last year of performing in a chorus at university, my final grade was performing Beethoven's Ninth with the New Orleans Symphony, 2 sold-out shows at the Orpheum Theater. It was incredible.
Wow.
I stood on risers with 30 other people right behind a 60-piece symphony, and I mean, it was easily the most incredible musical experience of my life.
That's amazing, dude. I mean, I sang same experience, primary school as we call it over here, singing in the choir. Um, I mean, I tried playing instruments, but I'm shit at practicing. Unless I've got an instant like, ability, then nah, can't be bothered with that. Move on. But singing was always the thing. And it was the same thing as you with the choir, but that sounds incredible.
It was amazing, no doubt. I miss doing it sometimes. But what I have done is I've begun vocal instruction. So I have a lot of students. I have children, grown-ups, recording artists, people that just want to get better at karaoke, and I teach them everything I learned. Sometimes they come to me and they're like, "I just want to learn how to sing and like growl better and do death metal better." It's like, well, here you go. We're going to start with fundamentals: do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and they're
Yeah,
like, "But I don't want to sing like that." And it's like, but you have to learn that to get better at that.
yes, yeah. You can't build a house with the roof first. Yeah, you got to
Right.
start with the foundations and build it all the way up. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And if watching singing instructors on YouTube has taught us nothing, it's the fact that yeah, growling is just as difficult as any other form
Yeah.
of singing, if not more
And
difficult, because you're
in
you know
in any
you do it wrong, like any
yeah,
other form of singing. You do it wrong, you are going to fuck
that's
your
it.
voice up.
Yep. True story.
Now, funnily enough, said about talking about singing new wave. I think I kind of know what you mean. Whenever I sing stuff that's not metal, I always feel like there's more room for me, if that, I don't want to sound that sounds like wow, check the ego out on that guy. But do you know what I mean? Always feel like there's more room for the voice.
Yeah, I think a lot, especially in heavy metal, uh, and not like necessarily extreme metal, but especially anything that's like based around classical influence. It seems like everything's set up for like the guitars to shine or the drums to shine, and there's
Yeah.
a feature instead of a nice mix of, you know. I tell you what, some of these guitar players in new wave, they're doing some incredibly creative stuff, but it's a lot less noodly. It's a lot less acrobatic. It's a lot more of a soundscape, and I think that that's serving the song.
Soundscape where the voice is seen as another instrument, and so things are playing off each other, where in metal it's kind of like you're kind of the roof, like there's the
Yeah,
rest of the house, you fucking go there, and that's where you live, and that's it.
absolutely.
Yeah, unless at some
Yeah,
point someone throws in some open chords and there's actually some room to do something.
sure, exactly. That helps for sure. When you don't
Yeah,
have to fight against riffing, it helps
yeah,
a lot.
yeah, and yeah, you're absolutely right. It is that it feels like everything is structured around the music, and vocally you are there, basically to kind of put something on top, but ultimately that's it. Whereas with pop, with new wave, with anything like that, the vocal in some cases everything's built around the vocal. It's that vocal melody that is leading the song, and things are playing off it,
Right,
which
right.
but it also brings a whole other level of responsibility as a singer, that sometimes you can get away with it a little bit in metal, and you can have a hangover,
Right.
uh, but yeah, it's not so easy when the voice is like right at the front of the queue.
Yeah, yeah. Different. It's a different animal. There's a lot more baritone in this new wave music, and I'm a natural tenor with a foot in the baritone door, so it's something I have to actually really work a little harder at, because it's new territory for me. But I enjoy the challenge.
Now you see, I'm a tenor, and my baritone is weak. I'm Yeah, I know exactly where my voice lives now. It's taken so many fucking years, but I actually know where it works best now. And yeah, I couldn't pull that off. It's like I'm just happier higher up. And that's the way it is. While I've got you, whenever I get a singer, I'm always fascinated to ask, if you do warm downs, and if you do, what your warm down regiment is, and if you do warm ups, what your warm up regiment is. And to go back to Ronnie Dio again, I'll never forget his warm up: smoke to joint.
Yeah, well, what I teach my students is basically like
Right, okay.
um, what I teach my
Yeah,
students is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
basically
Say what I do, not what I, yeah, yeah, do what I
see.
say, not what I do.
I have a handful of exercises that I learned in um, in chorus class that are essentially warm ups. It was taught to us as exercises, and then once we mastered them, we did about 3 or 4 minutes of these select exercises, which are typically based around C major scale. You know, do re mi fa sol la
Yeah,
ti do, ti
yeah,
la so fa mi re do mi so mi do mi so mi do, and so forth.
yeah.
And we would do that for a few minutes before we started the real singing every day. And when I am not on tour, I tend to warm up with those a little bit more frequently. But when I'm out on tour, I'm in tour form. So most importantly, I just get a lot of rest. And the only warm down I do is beer and maybe some Irish whiskey, you know?
Right, okay, cool. Yeah, no, I I did a refresher with a singing teacher, and she gave me some warm down exercises to do. And and she was like, just like wherever you can do them, they take like 2 minutes. Um, and it's warming down your breathing and basically bringing your voice down from what you've been doing for the last hour and bringing it down to right, and now you're ready to speak.
Hmm,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, I'd never like heard of it before, but I found it quite useful because I've also found it helps regulate my breathing and it also helps dissipate adrenaline, which, as you know, you come off stage with a load
Yeah.
of yeah, you come off
Oh,
stage with a load of adrenaline and
yeah. It's
where the
it's it's almost like when you are doing cardiovascular exercise and you just stop. Like it's not good. You should walk or like, uh jog in place, do anything that's going to help cool down your body instead of just stopping. And so that makes sense. I understand that.
yeah. Well, it's like after sports, isn't it? You see people running around for like an hour and a half, and then like some guys being interviewed by the pitch, and there's the entire team doing warm downs, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I get it, because otherwise they ain't gonna sleep. Yeah, they're they're
Right?
they're all they're all
Right?
buzzing. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, and so like she taught me those, and I was kind of like I was skeptical, but it's really worked for me. Um, but warm ups is yeah, it's something I really struggle with because I find my adrenaline kicking in about 20 minutes before the show,
Yeah.
and it's so hard to concentrate on any kind of like vocal warm up because I'm just like I'm just jazzed, just want to get out there. It's a
Yeah,
real
I mean, for me, like once I'm in tour form, it's less important than it is making sure that I just show up well rested and mostly get my blood pumping before I start hopping around, singing, playing the guitar, because all of that, if you get out there cold, you're going to start sucking wind, and
yeah.
that's not good. So most importantly, like I said, uh, rest. I can't stress to my
Mm,
students how much rest is the absolute magic key to everything.
yeah. Yeah. And find out what your cutoff point is for eating before a show.
Oh gosh, yeah, and what you eat. Like I can't have cucumbers, bell peppers, um, anything that's overly acidic. Um, if I start getting repeats or reflux during the show, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, pasta and cheese I got to avoid. Otherwise, it's like every song is tasting like pasta and cheese, and it's not an enjoy. It's it's not an enjoyable experience for everyone, for anyone. The front row, your bandmates, anyone. It's just not a good thing. Um, yeah, it took me years to learn that, but and one thing I was just thinking about the other thing that I've learned from the singing teacher was which is a very cool thing. Don't know. Basically a small bottle of water and a permanent straw. So basically, something that's made of a kind of like man-made material, a synthetic material, like those big kind of shake straws that you can buy in
Yeah.
supermarkets and stuff. And you put that into a small bottle of water. You have about that much water in a bottle, and you do your warm-up exercises into the straw.
Ah.
The water absorbs the sound. You can do your warm-ups sat next to someone and they don't even notice.
Oh wow,
And
that's interesting.
yeah,
Because that's
yeah,
a thing that I think people struggle with is when you're going ha 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 ha, and you're in a room full of people, they're going to start imitating you, mocking you, and making fun of you, and it just feels awkward.
mate, it never ever feels anything other than fucking really awkward. It's like, or people, or some people try and catch your eye to go like, oh yeah, cool. And other people don't want to catch your eye because they're embarrassed, because
Yeah,
this is weird, you know. And I'm like, I'm thinking, yeah, it is fucking weird. No one knows how to act. It's like, where's the disabled toilet? Find me a disabled toilet. I will go and do
right.
I'll go and do my warm-ups in there. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. I've spent my life in disabled toilets. I've done 25 years being a stand-up comedian, and and the amount of disabled toilets I've got changed in, like, doing comedy, it's absolutely ridiculous. And still to this day, nothing ever changes. It really doesn't. Well, look, Kyle, I'm not going to keep you any longer because I know you've got you've got beers to drink, and
Got a hot date with my
yeah,
beautiful wife.
yeah, absolutely. And if look, one singer to another, I feel bad that I'm getting in the way of that. I'm last interview of the day, you know.
No, it's fine. It's
Oh,
fine.
mate.
It was on schedule, so we're good, man.
Cool, cool. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's lovely to see you again, and I'm really looking forward to you getting back to the UK. Totally serious. Um, I'll send an email to Claire at Nuclear Blast, find out who your Mexican dude is. I will also send her a link to the vocal warm down, and
Oh, cool. Yeah.
it's an MP3. And let me tell you, my singing teacher had the most gorgeous, soft Scottish voice. And just listening to that voice after doing a show really does just give you like,
Half the battle right
yeah,
there.
absolutely. You can smell the heather, you know?
Huh? Amen.
And what a perfect place to leave it, smelling the heather. Right.
Yes. You
I'll
could
send
go
you
to
a link.
jail for that, can't you?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, if it's anywhere, if it's within 100 feet of a castle.
Especially if Heather's dad finds out.
Yeah, well, fuck him. Oh, mate, I've
All right,
really
Howard,
enjoyed
man, it
this.
was a pleasure. Yeah, let's keep in touch, man. Hit me up on the socials. I do all the socials, so message me there and we'll keep in
Oh,
touch.
cool. In which case, I will do. The podcast is called Talking Bollocks. I will come and find you now, and I'll send you
Yes,
that.
yes.
I'll send you that vocal warm
Please do.
down in the next few minutes.
Awesome. Sounds great, dude.
Cool, man. Take
All
care.
right. Have a great weekend.
Say
Thanks.
hello to your wife for me.
Will do. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.